Hello friends, it is Joel, the Kung Fu Penguin, back at ya with another video. So, one thing that is annoying about buying a mouse is trying to figure out wireless or wired. Well, I picked up the Finalmouse Ultralight Pro a little bit back from a friend, and I love that it is 40 grams lighter than my G703, which is wireless. And I've been enjoying wireless the last like 8 months or so, and it's been a great thing, but it's 107 grams, it's pretty heavy. So seeing a 67 gram Finalmouse Ultralight Pro was seemed pretty nice, but this cable that comes on the thing, it's so taut, it's so terrible, not a big fan. So in today's video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at how to add a paracord. And a paracord, if you don't know, is just going to make it nice and malleable and make it feel like you barely have anything attached to the end of your mouse. So it's almost, when you have a bungee on there, it feels like it is wireless. So the only thing you're gonna need today is you'll need a lighter for the heat shrinks. There's 3 heat shrinks that you're gonna be adding into this setup, and a screwdriver to remove the 2 screws on your mouse. So obviously it depends on what mouse you're using. This is for the Finalmouse Ultralight Pro today. We also went ahead and added the Hyperglide skates because the original skates on the Finalmouse are just, they're okay. So this is gonna transform your mouse into something way different. I love this purple. It adds to the Kung Fu Penguin channel. I love it. Let's get into the steps. All right, here we go. We have the Hyperglide skates for the Finalmouse Ultralight Pro. We have the Paracord. And so we are going to mod our Finalmouse Ultralight Pro and add the Paracord and the Hyperglides to make it kind of a completely different mouse. So let's see what we can do here. So the first thing we need to do here is remove these old skates so we can put the Hyperglides on. But first of all, there's 2 screws that are here and here. So you can do 2 things. If you want to keep these old skates and just put a new paracord on, the easiest way you can do this is you can use a heat gun or a hair dryer, heat this up and peel these off without scratching them up. But we don't need them, so we're just gonna be able to pull these off. So they're pretty adhesed on there, but as you can see, there's the screws right under there. So we're gonna go ahead and get those both off. So go ahead and remove these screws, set them aside here. Okay, pretty simple. Put them over there. Never want to lose your screws. Okay, this part we have to be a little bit more careful with. Should separate fairly easily. Nice and clicky there. But let's make sure where it is pressed apart. So there's that. It just kind of comes apart there. And be very careful with this front part. It kind of slides forward there. All right, there we go. This is what it looks like on the inside. You have obviously shell. I'm gonna spray this with some air to clear it out, and then we're gonna remove the piece for the cord. This is kind of like a little clicky Lego piece. Careful not to rip this off if you want to save this cable, but it just kind of snaps right on out of there, and then just gently remove it from the bottom here that you're not pulling this apart. It's wrapped around some of that. Cool. And this kind of, if you can see here, this kind of slots in here. So pretty simple. It has that little slot, and there you go. There's the new 28 gram ultralight. But no, just kidding. There's the bottom there. So let's put this aside and get the paracord out. Well, here we go. Here is the paracord. This is an amethyst color. I love the purple theme I have for my channel from twitch.tv/KungFuPenguin. You're gonna have 3 heat shrinks here. This is very important. The first one is going to be to hold it in place on the side. The second one is to hold in place in the front. And this third one slots it into that slot opening that we had before. So you're gonna need a handy dandy lighter in order to heat shrink these in the right spot. So kind of first off, you're gonna move these down, get them out of the way, and place your connector in the seating. So simple enough, you have your connector, you can see the pieces there. We're going to put that right down in, kind of like a Lego piece, and you'll hear it click, I'm sure. Make sure this lines up right. Hear that click? All right, we are in. So, simple enough is you have to wrap it around and place it up. So it's gonna look something like that when it's done. All right then, the first heat shrink we are dealing with, you want it to be just a little bit over the front of where the cables are coming out so that it can hold this in place. So it should be situated pretty nicely right there. And this is where it gets a little bit weird. We are going to have to use fire. So let's get going. It's actually be a little easier if you didn't connect this first, but it's okay, we'll get it. Very careful that you don't obviously melt the cables themselves. See how it's just shrinking around that? Okay, so that's a nice hold there. Let's get around the edges back here. Kind of shrinking around there and a little more here. All right, so that's gonna hold, that's a better hold there. Let's get a little more there. Okay, that's gonna be a little better for that guy. Perfect, first heat shrink there. So for the next heat shrink, you're gonna want to align your first heat shrink kind of along the edge here. I put it right up against, if you can see on the Finalmouse Ultralight Pro, there's this little ledge here. I kind of put it up against that and then weave it down and under and around. And then here's where it gets a little more tricky, is you need to push this down in here. So it's not pushing against your scroll wheel. You definitely don't want that. And then the heat shrink is going to be up and pushed against that notch ledge. The reason we're gonna wanna do that is because we're gonna slot it in there. So now that we have the positioning of where it's gonna be, we pull this out and we're gonna heat shrink this piece right here. So I'm gonna hold that in place and heat shrink this piece. Whomp. That way we can go ahead and affix it where it needs to be. Get it nice and affixed on there. It looks pretty solid now. I can get the edges of that just a little better. So that heat shrink looking pretty solid. That is going to go right in there when it is ready. So give that a couple seconds to cool, and we're gonna place the last heat shrink on the front of that. This might be the trickiest part. Okay, let's go though. So you see how you have the edge of the heat shrink here. Let it focus. Edge of the heat shrink here. You're gonna want to align this up a little bit in to that. And this is gonna take a little bit of finagling. So it's about halfway on there. Let's heat shrink that a little bit onto that, yeah. And then get the other side here a little bit. The nice thing about this is you can kind of reposition it because they're just, you know, little plastic meltable pieces. So get the other side here. Kind of melt that around. And this is gonna help you attach it to your
mouse itself. It's gonna be in that little slot that we showed earlier. This is perfect. Melt, melt, melt. Heat, shrink, shrink. So this isn't gonna be like a perfect science or anything other than it's just we're melting down this to fit in that little slot. That should be good. Let me fix this side a little bit. Let me get this side over here a little bit, even it out. All right, let's see what we got now. So this is kind of the assembly piece. Now that we have the heat shrink there with your little nodule piece, you're gonna wanna remove this back. And before, like I said, I put this right down on the corner. Move this around. This should just notch down in there, perfect. All right, there we have it slotted down in there. Fix your little heat shrink down there. You can kind of maneuver the cable behind here to make sure it is nice and snug. And then kind of affix back on. Make sure it is all in there. All right, here we are, almost to the finish line. We have the paracord attached. Looks pretty solid there. Hey kitty, kitty wants to play. So here we are with the back. We went ahead and removed the tops as well. And the bottoms, like I said before, you can just get like a plastic pry tool to get these off easily. I just wanted to get them off quickly, so I just used a flathead screwdriver, which works. You might scratch a little bit of the plastic. So then once you do that, you're gonna want to line up each of the pieces. Make sure you have the right ones here. Yep, there's this. We've lined all those up. So it's super simple enough now. It's basically just applying stickers. So I'm just gonna do the one. So pretty simple enough. You peel off the back, you line it up with the piece there, and you apply pressure. Super simple. I'll go ahead and apply the other three, and we'll test it out. So this gives you a little bit of idea what it looks like with a bungee and kind of on a pad itself. So there's a bungee in the back there, and moving around, it's pretty malleable, as you can see. Like, there's not gonna be any pull if I'm moving this and pushing it, it's not gonna pull. My other cable, the second I would push this cord, it would move back the mouse. So this is quite nice. As you can see, it just flies all around and doesn't have any pull on the mouse itself, as far as I can tell. If you have a lower sensitivity in game and a low DPI, this might be a great way to help you not have any resistance from your mouse and have some better aim for your games. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. It has been Joel, the Kung Fu Penguin. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit, and maybe you too could mod your Ultralight Pro with a paracord. Super simple and easy. Some people are a little worried because you have to take things apart, but it took me less than an hour. It was pretty simple. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, give it a like, maybe share or subscribe. Feel free to check me out live almost every day in the evenings at twitch.tv/Kung Fu Penguin. Thanks for watching. You have a good one. Bubberino, what do you think of the paracord? You're getting hair all over my desk. What are you doing, Bubber?